Hi everyone, Spicy Sushi here. So, this video is going to be the first video in a series that I'll be doing over a project that I have this league of making one of my favorite builds in Path of Exile work without Harvest. Now, this build is just a pivot from the Vortex Occultist. The Vortex Occultist, it served me well. It got to the end game, cleared, did all my map progression, did my early strategy, did any early bossing that I wanted to do. The Vortex Occultist was amazing at that, and the Winter Orb Occultist, I just had to respec some ascendancy points and some passive points to be able to play it. Now, excuse the performance. This league has been extremely terrible on the performance of my computer. The texture streaming has been terrible. I've had so many FPS drops, and I'm not really sure what to do besides maybe try a clean install. But basically, this is going to be a build diary over the progression of this character. Now, as you see on screen, this is just from the Twitch stream that was today. The Winter Orb character has about 230 exalts invested in it so far, and it is nowhere near what I would like it to be at. It is an excellent mapper currently with Headhunter, but it is nowhere near what I had in Ritual League. But the issue with Ritual League was that Harvest was also a thing. So it's definitely going to be difficult to make this work, but I'm very passionate about Occultist, and I love the Winter Orb ability. And I think it uses Headhunter buffs extremely well, and it feels so nice to map with. So I would love it to work. So this is just going to be the build diary and my progress on the character. If anyone would like to follow along, I know there are already 3 or so viewers of the stream that are following along with me and doing Winter Orb as well, and we all are working on it together on improving it, making it better in the ways that we can. Now, the issue with the character is definitely survivability. It is made of paper. If I don't have Headhunter buffs or flasks up, I do pretty low damage and I have almost no survivability at all. So that is the #1 priority. But it's okay, because if I have the Headhunter buffs rolling, I won't die. But yeah, I don't see this character being fully fleshed out until maybe 600 to 800 exalts are put into it. Now, it feels very nice currently with mapping, but bossing, it feels quite atrocious. Like, it can kill, it does a decent amount of DPS on bosses currently, but it is nowhere near what it was in in Ritual, and it is also nowhere near the survivability that I had. I did not have much survivability in Ritual, even with, like, at the maximum I had 900 exalts in the character, and this still does not even, and it still was not, I was not too happy with it for doing invitations and like Uber Elder and stuff. And so at this point, with only 230 exalts put in without Harvest, it's been rough. I will show a bossing clip towards the end of the video of what it's like doing this character while bossing. If I get tapped once in an invitation, I am dead. So that's the state of it that it's in so far. But still. So basically, the tankiness took a massive downgrade when I went from Vortex Occultist to Winter Orb Occultist. Defensively, a massive downgrade. But clear-wise, like map clear-wise and bossing-wise, it's still very much better than Vortex, just on a DPS standpoint. When it comes to doing bosses without dying, the Vortex Occultist was much stronger. But this boss, if I don't mess up, if I dodge the right mechanics and such, bossing is much faster, because it currently does around, I believe, 12 million Shaper DPS currently if all flasks are up. Once those flasks are down, obviously it's much lower, but these are issues that I am planning on solving in the near future as I get just more currency pumped into the build. So yeah, I've had some people in the chat come and tell me, like, ask, why did you drop Vortex? Why are you not playing Vortex anymore? Is it bad? Is Vortex bad now? Like, did you find out it was trash or something? Like, I've gotten messages like that. But no, Winter Orb was the goal in the end. If you look in the Google document, one of the points is that the Vortex can transition into a very powerful build, such as Winter Orb Occultist. So that is what we did, and it is strong. It is very, very strong. It is. As you saw in that clip, I know the performance was atrocious, but that's just how it is with my PC currently. Playing Path of Exile for some reason. It's not like this for any other game, but Path of Exile is just not great. But yeah, that is the state of my game currently. But yeah, that is the build. So let me go over basically everything for the first diary entry of the build. We are at about 230 exalts, as you saw on the screen. 230 exalts put in. Let me find the gear that I had before. There wasn't really anything different. It was just a vermilion ring. Yes, so this one. Yep, so that's it. This is the current setup. Before this setup, before I transitioned to this setup, I was running a Crown of the Inward Eye, as well as, wow, that is not it at all. Where did I put that vermilion ring? Oh well. Anyway, I had a vermilion ring that had Frostbite Curse on hit on it. It was a little bit worse than this because it was basically this, but it did not have added cold damage per frenzy charge. Basically, the way Winter Orb Occultist works is you stack lots of power charges from things like Void Batteries. I have +1 power charge on my Hubris Circlet. We get, +1 power charge from Forbidden Power. And we use Badge of the Brotherhood to get our power charges, our equal amount of power charges as frenzy charges. So we have 10 power charges currently. And so because of Badge, we also have 10 frenzy charges. And with Badge of the Brotherhood, we get 10% increased effect of elusive per power charge. And so we get 100% increased effect of elusive, 100% increased effect. We get our elusive from our boots currently, chance to gain elusive on crit, which is basically 100% uptime on elusive. But the way elusive works is that once you gain the elusive buff, it starts at the max effectiveness and it slowly drains down to 0, and then you regain elusive again, basically, based on your uptime. So for example, elusive is a 15% chance to dodge spell or attack hits and a 30% increased movement speed buff, and it reduces effect over time. And if you already have the buff, you cannot gain elusive. So basically what we just went over. So what makes Winter Orb feel really, really good is this elusive buff. Outside of the Headhunter speed that we get, you do not need a Headhunter for this build. I will link a budget version of Winter Orb in the description, but I do not recommend it. I do not recommend playing Winter Orb on a budget. You can definitely play it without a Headhunter, but this build does not feel good on a budget. It is definitely a build that you want to at least have the bare minimum to get it running, which is a Badge of the Brotherhood, which luckily this league is very cheap. Normally this would be a hefty investment to get into Winter Orb, but because of this being cheap, it is a more entry-level build now. So at the bare minimum, I would do a Badge of the Brotherhood setup with 2 Void Batteries and at least a Frenzy Charge on hit Vol Regalia, 6-linked. With that and an Elusive Boots, or no Witnesses. I recommend an Elusive Boots, but if you cannot afford these, then no Witnesses can work. But yeah, you don't have to have the Bottled Faith. This is just mainly for bossing. Dying Sun is extremely good though. Now, what's also rough about the build is if you do not have the clusters, it will feel very bad on the clear. Not very bad, but it won't be very good on the clear. Because of Vast Power, we're getting increased area of effect per power charge up to 50%. So basically, we're getting 30% increased AoE, 30% increased AoE, so 60%. And this is going to scale higher and higher the more power charges that we get. So yeah, we're getting increased AoE from towering threats as well. And that's about all the AoE we scale currently, besides the incredible amount of AoE from Forbidden Power. That's 60% increased AoE from Forbidden Power. We're getting some AoE from these nodes right here. There might be some AoE from here as well. No, it doesn't look like it. There might be some other AoE, but yeah. So we scale a lot of AoE, and as you saw in the clip, we do have a lot of AoE clear, and that is because of... I'm going to post this whole POB in the description. It is definitely a work in progress, but this is just going to be my build diary on the build. So we use Herald of Ice explosions, and currently I am using Profane Bloom explosions as well. I tried without Profane Bloom and it was fine, but there were some situations like Legion where I wish I did have Profane Bloom. So I spec'd back into Profane Bloom just for mapping. If I wanted to do more bossing, I would do Malediction and grab a third curse. Currently for a more budget setup, I'm doing Whispers of Doom. For the expensive budget, you would have a Frenzy Charge on hit chest, an additional curse from the Hunter mod, so you'd have a Hunter Redeemer Vaal Regalia. If I wanted the big budget version, it'd be an additional curse, Frenzy Charge on hit, and Spell Crit Hunter Vaal Regalia. Now that's insanely expensive, and that's just completely out of my budget for anywhere near this time. So I just picked up Whispers of Doom for now for that additional curse. Now I could also take Malediction for a triple curse if I wanted to get an Elemental Weakness on hit ring, and that would be the optimal setup for bossing. But I did some bossing earlier. I was not happy in the slightest with it. So that's going to have to wait for sure. I'm just not going to be able to do bossing effectively anytime soon. Of course, Elder and Shaper and Uber Elder are fine, but I'm mainly talking about Guardian's Aid, which is and Guardian Invitations, or Maven Invitations in general, and Maven herself. I need much more survivability, and I really just need to burst them down before they can even hit me. That's the main thing I need to do. But yeah, the tree is basically scaling power charges, crit and spell crit and multi wherever it can. That is literally the baseline of this build is power charges, crit and crit multi, and some life where I can get it. I am using a Glorious Vanity Jewel currently. It's giving me almost 1000 ES, but we're taking 50% of non-chaos damages is bypassing ES. But the way it works out, we do get a lot of survivability off of that. As much as we can get. There's not a lot of survivability, but as much as we can get. But I have had a lot of luck in ultimatums. It has been a very long time since I died in an ultimatum. I think that's just literally because of Headhunter buffs as well as the elusive buff. I think that's why we're surviving. But yeah, so the cluster is here. Evil Eye and Master. Since I cannot afford Unnerved gloves currently, I'm just getting Unnerved from Master of Fear. And Evil Eye is blinding nearby enemies, so that is a nice layer of defensiveness. And this is something I learned from Steel Mage, Enduring Composure, this small cluster. Basically, I'm getting 1 endurance charge every second that I've been hit recently, so I have 3 endurance charges up almost at all times. And then this synergizes very well with Immortal Call, because for each endurance charge removed when you get hit, when Immortal Call procs, you get 15% less fizz damage taken. So that's 45% less fizz damage taken, added on to the 26% less fizz damage taken when Immortal Call procs. And so we get a lot of survivability from physical damage there, but it's really elemental damage and spell damage we have a very, very hard time with. I get absolutely shredded by Chaos Degen as well. So that has been a struggle for the build for sure. But yeah, the gear currently, it's in a bare bones state. The gloves are just energy shield based with life, some resistance, and I got a little bit of extra crit chance against shocked enemies. Because of cold conduction, we are shocking when we chill enemies, so we are getting the benefit of shock on this build. Zealotry, Hatred, Enlighten. I don't want to anoint Charisma currently. I should buy an Enlighten 4, because if I buy an Enlighten 4, I can get rid of Charisma, and I can actually anoint Constitution. So Constitution would be a massive pickup for my survivability. So that's probably what I'll be doing next. But yeah, so that's how it is right now. The clear is fantastic. I'll just do a quick map again. That's a little bit better quality. Let me do canyon. I'll just do a canyon real quick just to show what the clear is like. Where did I put my orb binding? Okay. All right. I know I already had a clip from the beginning, but I know the quality of the clip was very, very bad. So I decided to do a map where hopefully the lag is a little bit better. But yeah, I know this is not entirely optimal. It is still much faster than Vortex. But the reason I would like elusive boots is because, or not elusive boots, tailwind elusive boots, is because if I don't have headhunter buffs, the speed is a little bit slower than what I would like. Once the headhunter buffs get rolling, things definitely speed up a lot. Which is why I also like doing harbingers, because I do get some nice headhunter buffs from harbingers that stack up. I'm also exploring the options with self-chill. If I could sell my headhunter and get 130 exalts back or whatever it is, and just invest in a cheaper version of headhunter through like self-chill, because this build does fine without headhunter buffs. I mainly just use headhunter for the incredible amount of speed you get sometimes from harbingers. Which this map was not very juicy, so I did not get many headhunter buffs at all. So in this situation, self-chill would be very nice, but the issue with self-chill with this build is that, I'm not going to do stun circles, but it just takes too long. The issue with self-chill is that I would have to get rid of, let's see. I would have to get rid of Frigid Wake because we cannot be affected by chill. It cannot be chilled. Literally cannot be chilled. So I can't self-chill if I take that note. I would have to drop Frigid Wake and probably do Malediction, which that would still be fine. So that could be a thing that I do. So I'll be looking into that. But I wasn't even using Void batteries that map, I guess. But yeah, we use Arcanist brand, Sniper Mark, Frostbomb. This makes it so this has full uptime on the boss. It's constantly casting it. Yeah, the 2 damage auras, Herald of Ice explosions. Basically a 4-link flame dash right now. And then we have, oh yes, so I don't use a life flask. So I get my life from Divergent Life Leech. Basically, as long as I'm able to throw out a Hydrosphere and it's hitting something, I don't need a life flask. My life regens, or not regens, but I leech life very effectively. As long as I have that Hydrosphere on a group of enemies or the boss, I will get life back. So that it's a very fragile wall of defense, basically. But it works out that I don't have to use a life flask, which is nice because Cinder Swallow makes up for not having a regular life flask in situations that I might need it. So yeah, very expensive build, very fast mapper, but very bad on the defense and surviving currently. It only does well in ultimatums because of headhunter buffs right now, in my opinion. So that's where the build is at now. But this is day 1 through 4 of the build, and there will be updates every 3 to 4 days on the progress of it, because I will be putting a lot of money and time into it. But yeah, thank you for watching, and that'll be it for diary entry number 1.